Hello, Lee. Hi. So, for our Wellness Week, NAHS, National Art Honor Society, thought it'd be a really great idea to discuss to you or introduce to you a great art technique called Zentangle. Some of you may have already been introduced to it. But what it is it's an abstract pattern drawing. Okay, Zentangle's intertwining patterns have a definite flow and rhythm. Usually what they're done is on a small square tile, so you can kind of see already an example of this in these printouts here, okay? And they're usually done pretty much without orientation, so we're not saying whether we're gonna have this vertical or horizontal. It's supposed to be kind of free-flowing. Well, where this came out of, where the Zentangle concept came out of, it was born when calligrapher Mara Thomas described to her partner the sense she had of focus and well-being and relaxation when she was creating background patterns for a manuscript. And she kind of recognized this state of meditation that kind of took over. And so both her and her husband then worked together, and they created a system that would teach and encourage others to experience that kind of same meditation. When you're doing Zentangle, look at it as something that's unplanned. So when you begin creating a Zentangle, you're encouraged not to have an end goal in mind. Rather, you're wanting just to have that pattern kind of reveal itself as you draw. So its creation is also celebratory. It's like a meditation. The Zentangle method is meant to feel freeing and healing. It's a way to celebrate the beauty of life. Now, when the Zentangle method also helps you create a feeling of this relaxed focus. So unlike doodling, where you might be comparing this to doodling, the person creating a Zentangle is giving it their full undivided attention. And so a Zentangle cannot be created while on the phone or listening to a lecturer, because attention is an inherent part of the art form. So it's a ceremony. The Zentangle deserves the artist's utmost attention. And so it should be created in a quiet place where you're focused and where this ceremony can be achieved, this meditation can be achieved. So this is perfect for our Wellness Week. Just this opportunity to do this piece where you're just kind of lost in the moment of what you're creating through these patterns. Now the pins that you can use, I have these several pins set up here that I'm going to show you. You don't have to have the top grade pins. You don't have to have micro pins and Prismacolor pins to do this. These are the typical ones that are used only because the pigment is archival, it's acid free, so it's less prone to smudging and fading, right? But you can use Sharpies. These work well. You can use these type of roller pins that are kind of these gel pins. They have free flowing ink out of them, or the actual kind of pin, pilot pins. Okay, nice gel ink out of there. So any of these pins will work. You can even use colored pins. Most of the Zentangles are done black and white though, and they're done with creating these kind of shading in between with graphite pencil at the end. So I'm going to show you some of these patterns. So here are some of the different patterns, and there's so many patterns. There are so many patterns. But what I like is some of the sites that you can search on Google, they will show you step by step. They will show you step by step. And here you can see kind of how the Zentangle is created going through each of those steps. So I'm going to just show you a couple of them here. So this is kind of a fan pattern, okay, bamboo style. And so here you can see the actual artist's work. These are examples of those tiles that I previously described, the little 3.5 by 3.5 square tiles. You can even go 5 by 5. The size is not limited. But these are examples of the free-flowing patterns that all start to come together and what you can come up with, right? So here's some other patterns, all kind of, again, I said there's tons of patterns. There's tons of patterns to kind of go through. And you can just do a Google search and you'll find all of these patterns that are on the websites that you can search. Now I'm going to show you how to kind of work through these. Now I went ahead and, I know it said no pre-planning. I went ahead and kind of pre-planned because I wanted to do that as I'm showing you this video. You can do something very simplistic in your design. So you can kind of divide up the space in these sections such as this, and then let the Zentangle flow from there. Or you can start to get really fun and kind of free-flowing and organic and fill up the space that way. This obviously would take a little bit more time. But again, it's supposed to just be brought forth where it's not much thought put into it as far as what you're doing, and just let the patterns start to happen and come to life on your drawing surface. Okay. I'm actually gonna and you do with pens, so you don't do these with a pencil. You don't pre-plan, you don't draw it out with a pencil. You actually just go right into it using a pen. So if I come in here, I'm gonna kind of, and again, like I said, no right or wrong orientation. I'm gonna move, you're gonna see I'm gonna move my paper around. I'm gonna kind of come in here and I'm gonna start down in here. And I'm gonna just kind of use this cross contour in here and kind of outline that section just like that. Just do that cross contour. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just add some lines right into there that are gonna follow that contour. Notice my lines are even, okay, precise. I'm gonna come in here and I'm actually gonna shift my lines now. I'm gonna shift my lines. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm actually gonna create these kind of leaf patterns, right in here. I like that. Said there's no rhyme or wrong reason, of how you approach this, okay? And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually kind of repeat that. I'm gonna repeat that pattern. So I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna do that cross contour again. I'm gonna make that shape right in here and make that cross contour happen right in here. Okay, then I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna fill in those lines. Do that cross contour right here as well. And notice that my lines, I'm not rushing through the lines. I'm making them very clean, precise. It does take a little bit of a steady hand, right? Again, a little bit different from a doodle in that sense that, this is a methodical. I'm actually taking some thought into the creation. Repeat those kind of leaves. Come in here. Repeat those coming down. I can then, once I kind of get the pattern in here, I can even come in and now what I can do is I can even start to deepen some of the values in that. So I can come in here and I can say, I want to color in some of these areas. I'm going to take my thicker Sharpie to kind of do that. I'm going to make sure I have paper underneath because I've got on my table here and the Sharpie will bleed through. So I'm going to make sure I have a paper underneath there. So if I come in here, I can color that in, just this section right here, and I'm going to darken that. Like this. Follow that all the way around. So you can kind of see as you start to work this, you can just immediately start to kind of get lost in the patterns and what you're doing, okay? Just have fun with it. Draw the pattern right in here, fill that in. Fill that in. Kind of look at that and see what I think. Yeah, so I'm going to continue with this. Same repetition. Cut this right up in here. Fill that. Follow those lines. I'm going to keep those lines right in here. Then I'm going to do those same kind of leaf patterns along the edge here. So you see you're also doing this repetition. So the patterns are repeating themselves. Actually, I want to keep that show as if it was cut off and we'll actually make those a little bit bigger there. I like that. Fill that in, okay? I can color that in. Okay, so looking on this spot, how do I want to do that? Kind of playing around, taking a look. Maybe this one, I'm gonna have a little bit more fun with this one. I'm gonna do these curves. I have these come out. Some big. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna repeat that pattern. Repeat that pattern. Again, notice how my lines are even, parallel, clean. And then looking at that, maybe I want to add a little bit of contrast. So I'm going to come in with my Sharpie again. And this time I'm actually going to color in the outside shape and make that nice and thick, that line. Bring in that nice rich contrast there. Just going to color that in. I'm actually I want to add some lines here. So I'm going to add these cross contour lines coming in right here. Give it a little bit more depth. Turn that around. I'm going to have that kind of follow. I want to follow this kind of line right here. I want to follow that contour. So you can kind of see how all of a sudden, you know, the patterns can start to come to life. I'm letting the patterns kind of be free flowing. Like I said, you can look up patterns, you can copy patterns, you can just kind of create your own patterns and see how you can experiment a little bit more, maybe push some of the patterns that you've seen. You know, if you do your extra research on the different Zentangle patterns, kind of look at those and then see maybe how you can make those a little bit different, experiment with them just a little bit more. I'll have to make this darker. I'm liking bringing in a little bit of contrast by making some thicker lines, some thinner lines in there. I'm liking the contrast that's happening in the background there. Cross contour here again. Do more of those lines in here. Repeat that. So again, it's just, you're just moving through each of the sections, creating these patterns. Like I said, there's just so many Zentangle patterns that you can do as well, right? Fill in the darker section in there. Do that repeat pattern. In the background there, okay? And finish that off. Can sit here and let me see what would I want to do there. And divide this just a little bit more. What I want to do here, just an extra line there. I'm going to come up with, there's one pattern that kind of looks like a basket weave. So I'm going to kind of put that in. So I'm going to go these different lines here, different lines there, and then come in and I'm going to do the opposite. Do a little bit of a longer one, come in here. Do a little longer one. Come over here. Put this up over here. Kind of just divide up the space that way. So you can just continue along and just keep creating all these different patterns. And as I shared, there's so many patterns that you can look at, so many patterns that you can do. And like I said, what is great is you go to many of these websites and they actually show you the step-by-step of how to do many of those patterns. And it's just mindlessly going in, right? Just let it be free-flowing, you know, and the methodical part is making those lines concise, precise, clean, right? And thinking that part through, but just let it happen naturally. Let it happen naturally. And so that's Zentangle, and it's a great way to just kind of, again, get yourself in this meditative state, help you relax. It really helps with kind of relieving stress as you're going into this, and you get lost in it. And that's why it's a great method for relaxation. So I thought this was perfect for our mindfulness week, just using art as a way of helping us, just kind of relieve some stress and just kind of get ourselves refreshed, renewed, and re-energized. So I hope you will be able to enjoy your own Zentangles. Give it a go. Give it some practice, and just enjoy the creations that you make from this. So thank you for watching and letting NHS present this to you. We appreciate that. Have fun, guys. Take care.